Are you stressed and filled with anxiety like I am? Maybe in a bit of pain from that car accident you had a few years ago? Well, the sponsor of today's episode, Hempville CBD, has us covered. They have the highest quality products created by chemists and doctors. Hempville carries everything from CBD to THC dispensary grade without those despicable dispensary prices. Order your Delta 8, 9 edibles and vapes along with the THCA flower and get free shipping when you spend $50 or more at hempvillecbd.com. Check out the link in the description for more details.
Welcome to the Filmistines, the double feature podcast. Join us as we unravel the interwoven experience of the continuous conversation of cinema. Take part in pairing movies with their cursed counterparts, movies that share DNA, or even pairing questionable duos by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/filmistines. We offer tiers at the $1, $5, and $20 level, where the $5 tier will grant the ability to request films to further the discussion. So grab some popcorn, sit back, and get ready to join the 100-year conversation. This is the Filmistines, where movies are more than just entertainment, they're an experience. And welcome back to another episode of the Filmistines. Thank you for stopping by. I'm joined today by my chocolatier, Lucy.
Hello, everyone.
You can join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for brand new episodes of the Filmistines. Some recent episodes include our analysis of the 1954 Godzilla, the original Godzilla, the brand new Godzilla -1, Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget, Leave the World Behind, and our Grinchmas special in celebration of Christmas.
Which Grinch is your favorite Grinch?
2000s Grinch.
No. Go listen.
But today we are discussing the very anticipated film, between us at least, Paul King's Wonka. There's been a little bit of a trend happening here where we are covering things that have a little bit of a special place in our hearts. Maybe that's just our Christmas spirit coming out. Godzilla, Chicken Run, and the Grinch. And Willy Wonka kind of fits the ticket.
Yeah, I think it definitely does.
I'm a huge admirer of the Gene Wilder Wonka film. I know you're real into the Tim Burton, Johnny Depp one.
Well, I think I'm more into the books if I had to pick.
Okay.
Out of everything.
There's 2 books, right?
Yeah, there's 2 books.
Yeah, I've never read the books. I, of course, didn't know they were books until, the last few years, probably. But of course they're books. Do you prefer the Johnny Depp Wonka over Gene Wilder's Wonka? The performance, at least. Not maybe the movie as a whole.
Yes, for sure. I think I prefer the Johnny Depp Willy Wonka. He just seems more disturbed.
Mm-hmm. I've always heard he's more akin to the books, too.
Okay. And he just has this, traumatic thing about him that I like. And that kind of fits the whole Tim Burton tone, if nothing else. Kind of his aesthetic.
Yeah, totally. And I am not a Tim Burton fan, but I do think Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the Johnny Depp Tim Burton one, is underrated. Because it gets shat on a little too much. It's not okay.
Yeah, the other one should get shat on a little more.
No. Neither of them deserve the shitting.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. Well, I know you were looking forward to this movie probably a little bit more than me because it's a proper musical. It's got Timothée Chalamet in it. It's made by the Paddington guy.
Yeah, I don't even know which one I'm more obsessed with.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's really kind of an interesting movie to this happen. Like, I'm really, it's almost a little serendipitous. How did the stars just align where this was ever able to be facilitated? I don't know. I will say I'm becoming more sold on Timothée Chalamet as an actor. I like his movies. I like his characters, but I see little range. So it's just, I'm just kind of just waiting for that dive of like that one Timothée Chalamet film that's kind of pushes me over the edge. And Wonka is not it. It's pushing me ever so close, like I'm just right there. And one thing that kind of holds me back is the awkward little psychotic outbursts he has. There's a couple of them with, I think, Noodle. I'm not sure where they're at. I can't remember. But this film goes so hard on this romance in the world that Wonka experiences. Like, he's just so positive. We have these tiny little bursts of something's under the hood, but we don't really get any proper exposition or development or like real meaningful outbursts. It's just like one word, a 20th of a second with him and Noodle and maybe Abacus, I'm not sure. But we, of course, with the other two Wonkas, we know they're off. They make a much better case of his like strangeness in those other two films than here. So, and it's such a small thing. It's really not even worth mentioning maybe. But when he had those moments, I guess I cringed. I was just like, ooh, there are moments that could maybe place him in a Johnny Depp category or like just some weird performative, actor. I'm so close to being a hardcore Timothée Chalamet fan because this is the most experimental thing I think I've ever seen out of him. And I've seen a lot of his movies, Dune, Beautiful Boy, Call Me By Your Name. He's always kind of the same brute, right? Brooding character and mopes around, and it's like, okay, you play that really well, and I don't know if you're going to be able to play that another 10 years, because I don't know if you're going to look, I don't know if you're going to fit the part so easily. But he starts to evolve into something else here that I do like a lot, but there's just tiny little things that are holding me back. I don't know what that quite is. I haven't been impressed quite enough. But yeah, man. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess I'm not sure which very few outbursts you're talking about. Throughout the film, he's very just naive and innocent, and I didn't pick up on anything other than that. But even if there were these little kind of weird outbursts, that would kind of make sense with them trying to tie in this as a proper prequel to any of these films. Like maybe we're missing that middle film.
Sure.
That triggers whatever outbursts you're noticing.
And what I have to say to that is I wish there was just one big moment of it here. I feel like they're just so half measures. They're not even half measures. They're like 1/10 measures of something a little more under the hood, because I know Wonka's a strange character. I know he's got problems.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy is old enough. I mean, he's late 20s. He's probably Timothée Chalamet age, where I feel like there should be just that one strange moment that puts Noodle on her other foot. She's just like, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden there's this there's just brief moment where I'm like, can I trust this guy? Just for a second, and then it fleets right away because he doesn't, that doesn't come back up.
Yeah, you're saying if they were going to go with those small little moments, they should make it at least a bit obvious that that's their intention.
Yeah, and I think they suffer in a similar way somewhere else that we'll talk about here in a second, but continue what you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. He's one of my favorites to watch on screen. I really liked him in Call Me By Your Name and Bones and All. And, I mean, he even has that one little tiny part in Don't Look Up.
In Lady Bird.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the same part.
And it's the same, it's the same character throughout. So, I mean, this is his non-boyish film. Kinda, because he's still so, naive and innocent that he's still very boyish. But I do like him a lot in this, and I feel like this is just one of those wholesome movies that we don't see a lot of anymore. Like Paddington. I know it's not a Christmas movie in the sense of there's Christmas in it, but it just feels so sweet and so wholesome that it's a good end of the year movie. There's no nonsense here that I appreciate. They didn't force any kind of romance on him. There's not a girl that he was, pining over. I guess, we give him a little bit of a dead mom issue, but we don't make it a thing like we do in the other movies, with Johnny Depp's childhood trauma. we don't point out Noodle's blackness, like she was casted as a black girl for diversity's sake. You know, we don't make anyone part of the LGBTQ community. I mean, we don't have these forced, awkward things that I feel like a lot of movies are. Let me back that up. I feel like a lot of big ticket movies are trying to do, especially Disney and Pixar, kind of forcing that onto us. Somebody's got to have a mental disorder. Somebody's got to have some kind of questioning of their identity.
Yeah, as far as like family-friendly movies go.
Yes, exactly. So I really appreciate that this movie didn't try to force that on its audience. It just felt so just kind of pure.
Yeah. I mean, Paul King is a master filmmaker. He's got a total vibe and warmness about his films, totally. And it's a little strange to watch a Wonka movie and not get that strangeness of Wonka in the same way. And so I'm kind of battling between our young Wonka and our adult Wonka. And I guess one reason I'm kind of battling that is because Paul King went on the record saying that this is kind of the proper prequel to the old one, the 1971
Oh.
one. And I'm just like, and now I'm never going to be able to unhear that. And now I can't help but to look for it. And it just feels like, I mean, for one, I guess it feels like it was just kind of a PR marketing thing to kind of tie it to, you know, one of the most classic films of classic films, right? People love that original Wonka so much.
Yeah, and I was just about to say, maybe it's not tight at all. Maybe this is just a separate Wonka prequel story. But I didn't know he went on air to screw himself over.
Yeah. He's excited. You know, that's all it was. Yeah, I saw the runner-up for this was Tom Holland. Is that his name? Spider-Man?
Yes. No.
That would have been terrible.
Oh my gosh. He doesn't have that.
He doesn't have that quirkiness for one.
Yes.
At least they nailed that. I ought to say they couldn't have picked a better person. It would have been either equivalent or worse.
Yeah, I was reading somewhere that they picked Timothée Chalamet. They asked him to do it, that he didn't even need to audition for this role.
Yeah, Paul King wanted him. There were a few people in the producers' minds and stuff, and Paul King was like, nah, we got to get Timothy.
I want this weirdo.
Yeah, because he's got a strangeness about him.
Yeah.
His look-wise, and I think people feel it. I think directors feel it, and I definitely think, I definitely feel it, that there's something that has yet to be unlocked in Timothée Chalamet that's just going to make him explode on screen, like in like a performative way. He's just going to be amazing over the next few years. And I feel like that's one reason he has been in a lot of really big things, but not things like Disney properties and Marvel and your normal like Transformers nonsense and stuff, but like proper projects, proper works of art. And even Dune, you know, is a really kind of groundbreaking, you know, sci-fi film. People are just trying to crack his nut that they just can't get to yet. And I feel the like frustration and the tension there that is just yet to be unlocked. There's something really special living in him that has that I haven't seen yet. I don't know. I haven't seen the Wes Anderson French Dispatch movie, which I know he's in for a minute.
To backtrack a little bit, can Tom Holland even sing?
Yeah, I've seen it. He can sing. He definitely can carry a tune in a bucket at the very least.
Okay.
He can dance a little bit too. There was that viral video with I think Jimmy Fallon or someone, and he was doing a whole number and everything, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, Tom Holland's the perfect young man," and I was just like, "You're embarrassing me." He loves it though. I know he's like in love with the fame, and he reminds me of Pedro Pascal in that way because he's just so childish about it in a good way.
I was gonna say there's something charming about that for sure. I don't know. I guess when I visualize him dancing, it's with him doing that Rihanna umbrella number.
I think that's what I saw. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh no,
people love that.
That's kind of not okay. He took that too far.
Yeah.
But I really like how whimsical this film was. It looked fun. All the set designs and all the props looked very good. So I really like that. I mean, everything from his little shop to his chocolates. His chocolates looked great. His little suitcase where he made his chocolates looked fucking awesome. I mean, I wish I could have paused the screen because we saw this at the movie theater. I wish we could have paused the screen so I could really see everything going on in his little chocolate making suitcase. Although we didn't get as much chocolate time like we do with the other films. You know, we don't get the factory. We don't get his wonderful, awesome creations that he does on later on in life, which, of course, it makes sense. This is his starting out moment. So I kind of wish we would have gotten a little bit more of that. What we saw in the store briefly for 10 minutes maybe.
I feel you. It feels like he's got it a little too figured out already, too. Like he already knows how to make chocolate and all these creations. It helps feed the family friendliness of the positivity of it all, that he's got it all figured out and he only has to overcome the obstacles that are placed in his way by Slugworth and everyone. I don't love the presence of the chocolate in this world. I don't love this world. I like everything about this. I like this movie a lot. I don't love this movie. This movie's got nothing on the 1971 one.
Oh, no, it does.
The world I like in one way because it feels like it's a real world, but it's a little bit different. Like an alternate dimension kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Similar but different. Very similar, but just slightly different. Like the nozzle saying cold and colder. It's like that would never happen in our world. That is in their world, and it's funny. And then like the suitcase and stuff, and the fact that it just did its things and everything. And I love that we didn't focus on it because he's Paul King's a proper filmmaker. And anyone else would have had like a slow panoramic kind of thing all across it to flex the creativity of it all. And it was just like that would be kind of stupid to see. But I'm glad we didn't really get any super close-ups. Well, I guess we did get some super close-ups of particular pieces of the suitcase and stuff, but we didn't get a full 15-second view of it.
Yeah.
We only saw it kind of obfuscated by whatever, and I like that a lot. But one thing that bothers me about this movie, there's only a few things that really bother me and hold it back from the high esteem I hold Paddington 2, because Paddington 2 is one of the greatest movies ever made. What's up with the magic in this world? At times it feels like people are like, what the fuck is happening? Like there's almost this, real sense of disbelief happening when Wonka's doing his thing. But then the other 90% of the time, it feels like people are familiar with magic in this world, but no one else is magical, right? There's this absurdist kind of spin to some parts of the world, cold and colder on the faucet, right? But I just wish there was a little bit more of a disturbed nature to the people seeing Wonka doing his thing. But they're all just gung-ho about it. They're not unsettled by any of it. Because it lands much better in the other two Wonka films because we see the film through the perspective of children. And there's already this mystery around Wonka being a strange person living in a chocolate factory or candy factory, right? And then we see this kind of absurd, broken down house with Charlie and all four of his grandparents laying in the same bed, all staggered and stuff. Like there's this weirdness to it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a weirdness here, but it's much more family friendly, kind of cutesy Paddington, which is very cool, but it just feels a little uneven in that way that I guess I just have to kind of wrestle with it because people can't be too unsettled. Noodle was unsettled for a split second. She wasn't really unsettled. She was just like, whoa, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, I think when he first showed the briefcase or something, or showed the flying chocolates, I'm not sure. And I get that we can't have the disturbed nature because it's a Paddington type movie, right? I don't know, it's like part of me wants a little bit more character out of the world itself. But instead, the world kind of really at the mercy of Wonka because he's a magician.
Yeah, I'm not too mad at that. I liked that Wonka was magical. I think that's part of the magic here in the film. I think that's part of the feel-good warmness. Him being so extraordinary. He comes from wherever he comes from.
The jungle.
the jungle.
Apparently, he's on that boat with his mom.
Yeah, he's on the boat and then steals from the Oompa Loompas.
Yeah.
I don't know how he came to know about the Oompa Loompa island and to steal the coconuts or whatever they were. But
Cocoa beans.
yeah, the
The coconuts.
coconuts. They look like coconuts.
Yeah.
But he's coming to a big city where there's not a lot of magic. You know, the big chocolate people here are evil and they're diluting their chocolate. They're diluting the magic of the city in some sense. I mean, they're controlling the chief of police with chocolates. So I kind of like that Wonka is kind of a hero here and he comes to save everybody from the spell of these 3 non-chocolatiers. And there is already a weirdness in this world that I think he came here to unlock. So maybe after those guys go to jail or wherever they're going to go to, we start seeing more of a happier, magical place in the city. But I do like the weirdness of the world. I really like the intro scene where he's just so excited to come to the city and to sell his chocolates, and everyone's charging him for everything. I mean, I love that there was a sign that said no daydreaming, and there was a penalty because he was daydreaming.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So it's like this city is trying to just make everyone small, but not him. Nothing can stop him. So I don't know, that really fed to my just child nature.
Yeah, a lot of that, the intro scene especially, that was awesome. It just, well, I mean, what you're saying just makes me wish more that there was this surpriseness out of people seeing him the way he is. I mean, maybe it only takes 1 or 2 little scenes of people being like in disbelief, like kind of turning the nose up at Wonka and like it's just a trick kind of thing, and then he shows them that it's, you know, the greatest thing they've ever seen. You know, so maybe some of that, some carnival act type thing. I guess I just, because we don't have the perspective of, you know, Charlie or any other kids, the immediate acceptance of just how magical this person is just feels like a little bit of a missed opportunity in storytelling, I guess.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I guess I took it more of they were ready for this.
Yeah.
They were ready to have someone like this come to their city and everyone just embrace it. I mean, when he started selling the flying chocolates in the beginning, they were ready to try those. Yeah, no one was like, what the fuck? Why would I want a flying... Why?
Yeah.
They were like, heck, yes. I'm ready to try your flying chocolate. I'm ready to, I don't know, escape? I don't know.
Yeah, I like that the other 3 chocolate guys, they all liked his chocolate and candy and stuff, but they were like, but it's not chocolate. It's not proper chocolate.
Yeah.
Because it really isn't, because it's something different and new and crazy and awesome. But I love that it was very clear that they loved the chocolate. That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
That was really fun. I like the whole angle of Wonka not knowing how to read, too.
Yeah, that was a good little tidbit.
Because he's some jungle boy, you know, coming in and got dreams bigger than anyone's ever seen, but he doesn't know how to read.
You know, now that I'm thinking about it, how did his mom expect him to read the secret formula at the end if she never taught him to read?
I guess she figured that his friends would have his back.
He'd eventually either learn or someone would tell him.
Yeah. I like the nod at the golden ticket too.
Yes.
Right there.
That was good.
Slick.
That was good. I liked how exaggerated some of our characters were. And maybe that feeds into some of the magic aspects. But especially Mrs. Scrubbit and Bleacher. I loved how just nasty they were and how just nasty they looked. And just their whole character and, you know, everything we made them do here. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, they were probably the most cartoony characters,
Mm-hmm.
which is awesome because they are really maybe more villainous than any of the other characters, any of the other villains, because they They try to completely ruin Wonka. I mean, they do, sort of, but then Wonka's just, he doesn't got it figured out, but he knows that people are going to want his chocolate.
Yeah.
Because he knows how wonderful sharing a passion is, you know?
How'd you feel about the other performances, from Noodle to the other enslaved people at Mrs. Scrubbett's to even Mr. Bean making an appearance as a Catholic priest, whatever he was?
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, I liked Abacus. He was cool. I like that he became kind of important to taking down the other chocolatiers.
Yeah, he was super important. He knew about the real versus fake books.
Yeah, and he used to work for Slugworth. That's
Mhm.
pretty funny. I like that. I guess I like the connection to the Scrubbett's, the laundromat place, whatever, and the Slugworths. And I like that his name was Abacus. That was funny. Yeah, I liked him. I guess I don't really have much to say about him other than I like their song the best too.
Mhm.
The Scrub song.
Yeah, the soundtrack here is awesome.
Yeah, the other standout performance is probably Keegan-Michael Key.
Yeah, the chief of police.
The chief of police, where he's bribed by chocolate and becomes basically the nutty professor.
Yeah, I like that a lot too. I thought that was hilarious that they made him get chubbier every time we saw him, and then the gifts of the chocolates they were giving him kept getting larger and larger. I mean, even to the point that at the end there was a giant ass box that they just put on top of his car. And I mean, even he couldn't fit in his car anymore. He was struggling to get out. I thought that was awesome what they did with him. And just even his character at first was like, no, I'm not going to keep doing this. I'm not going to do this for you guys. I'm not going to kill people. Like, I'm good. But, you know, he just couldn't stay away from chocolate. He had a problem. I like that they gave him a chocolate problem, because chocolate is delicious, and at some point or another, everyone comes addicted to chocolate.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like chocolate was borderline a heroin-like drug in this town, where we had chocoholic monks, right? Then they call them.
Yeah.
And he was talking, and then the chief of police guy was, talking about how he has got to hide it from his wife and stuff, and
Yeah.
that's also a good musical number. It's probably the second best when they're trying to convince him.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of fun with, I guess, the cop basically being the arms of the antagonist to keep Wonka on the move, and then they literally solve that by him running away in a variety of ways, and it's really cute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was pretty much sold on all the performances, or even just okay with most of the performances. But Noodle didn't quite hit it for me. I didn't feel the tenderness connection that her and Wonka were supposed to have as much as I would have liked to. I did love the scene when they escape with the balloons after they milk the giraffe. And we have that whole musical number with them on the roof holding the balloons, and they have their cute little moment. And I just wanted them to have that connection throughout the whole film for me to just melt in that moment. But it didn't quite hit it for me.
Yeah, I'm not sure what was going on there. I don't think Noodle's performance was anything special. It was serviceable. She was probably the weakest part of the movie.
Yeah, I think I agree with you.
Is a little unfortunate because she arguably becomes the second in command, second main character.
Mm-hmm.
And they land with her, I guess the movie kind of changes focus onto her finding her alive parent.
Yeah.
Because they really do kind of start to set up that she's related. She's the daughter of Slugworth. And then, you find out that it's a brother, and then his brother died, mom's still alive, he lied about the kid being dead to the mom, and it's just like, this is really sweet and all. I don't know, I guess I don't like to focus on it. I really wish we got a little bit of loneliness out of Wonka him missing his mom. So I know we know he misses his mom, obviously, but he's not bothered by it. He kind of wants to start, his Wonka shop in her name. He wants to make her proud, even in the afterlife kind of thing. But he's not disturbed like I want the Wonka to be, in that he had this traumatic childhood for whatever reason. So it kind of ties back to this Wonka being a little uneven. Like, it feels like there's something there at that time or two, and this was a moment where I feel like they could have really hit that home, where this Wonka's 99% positivity, but we have that 1 powerful percent of this Wonka kind of scares me or something. I don't know, and it feels like they almost tried when Noodle ran up to her mom, and we get that close up of Wonka, and he's like looking at her, and like he's kind of got glassy eyes. It looks like there's like almost like, Wonka's missing his mom a little too much, but it really was just he's probably missing his mom. He sees a beautiful reconnection of child and mom. So it's just, I don't know, I was missing a little something there, and Noodle definitely detracted from a little bit more Wonka character in a not worthwhile way, because it wasn't a great performance. I wanted a little bit more out of Wonka.
Yeah, I feel like that would have taken away from all the feel good moments we were experiencing here. This just isn't your type of movie. I guess the last thing I want to talk about is the soundtrack of the movie. I mean, this is basically a musical, so we had to talk about the musical numbers, and some of the songs here are absolute hits. They were great. I really like the Scrub song, of course. A World of Your Own, and he sings the song when he first opened his shop. And walking out of the movie theater, that was probably my favorite song. I think it hit with me the most. That scene made me tear up when it all went to shit and he was just so fucking sad. I mean, that was good.
Yeah, that was good. That was a great scene. And it was a great nod to a future Wonka factory too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And of course, the closing song, Pure Imagination. That the other scene made me tear up. This made me bawl. I was crying. I was so emotional. My fucking tears were streaming down my face. It was so absolutely sweet and adorable and cute and just so tender. I think maybe that's a word I could wrap up with this film. Just how wholesome and tender it was. So maybe that's why I appreciate that they didn't make Wonka so crazy yet.
I get that.
And in this version of Pure Imagination, they give him, I don't know, I've listened to the song quite a few times. It's on Spotify, if you want to go listen to it. But I like that they give him an old-timey feeling to this number.
To all the numbers, I feel like there's a lot of classical musical kind of thing here.
Yes. And there's one particular moment where he giggles. He kind of has this like very childish, just absolute giddy giggle, and it's just so cute. I think when I heard that, I bawled even more. It's super. I mean, they did a phenomenal job with the soundtrack here. Even the Oompa Loompa song. The song wasn't great, but I like that they kept a lot of the original notes. And I like that it kind of is the Oompa Loompa theme song. And even when he wasn't on screen, but we knew he was up to no good, we heard his little theme song in like very low in the background. And then when he was on the screen, then we heard it louder. So it was very cartoonish. I like that.
It was really kind of unsettling and for a brief moment, because you have this small man stalking about. He stalks Wonka. I want to talk more about the Oompa Loompa because I think it's the strangest addition to this movie. I think the inclusion of this rendition of the Oompa Loompa we got with Hugh Grant is terrible. But I know you want to talk about your favorite song, so we'll talk about that here in a second.
Yeah, just real quick. I think my now favorite song after listening to the soundtrack several times is "You've Never Had Chocolate Like This." It's just so catchy, and it's it's so fun, and I think this song captures a lot of what this movie is. And I like that it's got a little spin on the song you said when they're trying to bribe the chief of police, telling him that he's never had chocolate like this. And they kind of bring that song back up here when I guess it starts when they meet the guy that has no confidence and he wants to propose to his girlfriend, but he can't because he's lame, and Wonka basically helps him. And just the magical aspect of Wonka is captured here in the song with "This is the chocolate you've never had." So I like that. I like that that song is on repeat right now for me.
Yeah, there was I think a scene with some cart. It reminded me of Pretty Patties from SpongeBob.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that song is told through a montage, basically, of just their operation, their chocolate selling operation, how they jump through the sewers and everything. I like that a lot. I like that whole sequence.
Yeah, yeah. And we even have we have everybody here. We have everybody in this montage, basically. The chief of police trying to catch him selling his chocolates on that cart. Then it starts out with this cute little story about this, guy who just doesn't have guts. And then he ends up kissing the girl. He ends up getting his girl.
Yeah.
All thanks to chocolates.
This movie's got a real storybook slant to it. And its simplicity and its positivity and obviously colors and world and everything. Speaking of colors, I want to talk about the Oompa Loompas now. I thought it was a strange casting to include Hugh Grant as our Oompa Loompa. And now I kind of get the impression that they didn't know how to handle the Oompa Loompas. And so, I don't know, Hugh Grant got lucky, I don't know. But, of course I was very curious if the Oompa Loompa was going to make some kind of significant appearance, some kind of, and how meaningful it was going to be in the story. And Wonka setting the stage for that with telling Noodle that there's this little orange man who follows me and steals my chocolate is a good setup for that. And then he captures him and it's all like a good setup and everything. But then we get the Oompa Loompa number out of Hugh Grant and a little bit of exposition of the problem between the two. And it's just, it completely, man, it's a total sin in movie making. We get all the imagination and mystery ripped right out of us with the Oompa Loompas. They're on a fucking island. They run it like a mob. They sent him out because he's a piss poor security guard guarding the cocoa beans. It's just, it does something that just completely neuters the Oompa Loompa. And then Hugh Grant's whole cadence of being an Oompa Loompas, it's a complete disservice to the Oompa Loompa. There's no, like the Oompa Loompas feel alien in the other movies. A proper Oompa Loompa does. This Oompa Loompa just feels like a small man,
Yeah.
And I'm not okay with that. And then the insult to injury when he reappears on the boat and whips out his little, well, I guess that's a suitcase, and he unfolds it and it's got a bed and everything. He's just like, what the fuck is this Oompa Loompa doing? I hated it. Absolutely. I wanted Wonka to kill it.
Yeah, there was this mystery with the Oompa Loompa starting out, and even when he told Noodle about it, and I love that she was like, no, you sound crazy. Are you sure you're not eating them in the middle of the night and you're just dreaming? And he's like, what? Maybe I am. Now I have to capture it. So I guess we get a little bit of an explanation on why he captures him, to prove to himself or Noodle that he's not crazy. I understand why they thought we needed an explanation on how Wonka and the Oompa Loompas come to be.
Why? Why would you think they needed to include that? Include something like that, not necessarily exactly that, but
well, I understand why they think we would want that, because we want explanations. People like knowing the origins of how things came to be. I understand the thought behind that,
but more so than where Wonka came from, because we still don't know where Wonka came from.
Yeah, and I do think that some of that mystery there is completely lost. And I agree with you that the boat scene was just kind of off. And we also get the Oompa Loompas saving him at the end. No one saves him
Ugh,
but
I
him.
hated
So
it. He became a Bobo ass McMuffin.
I didn't completely hate it. I got it. I understood it. Did I love it? No. I do wish we would have kept some of that mystery, especially with it already being brought up that, hey, Wonka, maybe you're the crazy one. So I kind of like that.
Embracing that would have been nice, and then they could have maybe, I don't know, angle it in such a way that Wonka sees something or he thinks he sees something, and Noodle's like, that's not that, and then we get another shot of Wonka seeing the thing, and it's something, obviously.
Yes.
You know, it's kind of spurring up that maybe he's a little too creative for his own good. He's starting to see fucking faces on walls and stuff, and Noodle's just like, nah, dude, you're just crazy.
You're just crazy.
They're
Yeah.
not a bad crazy.
I definitely would have liked a version of that. But I didn't hate it. I even found some of Hugh Grant's performance derpy in a cute way. So I kind of like that, especially when he started singing the Oompa Loompa song and he was moving with the beat.
Yeah. And
It was cute.
it's like he didn't want to do it, but he had to do it.
Yes.
That was cute.
Yes.
I like that a lot, but
we could have done without the backstory. Maybe he could have just captured him and be like, ha, I'm not crazy.
And then maybe the Oompa Loompa doesn't talk, you know?
And he just starts singing.
Yeah.
And doesn't say nothing. Or, you know, maybe played it differently. So, I mean, I'm there with you on the mystery. They definitely went a little too far, but I don't hate it.
Yeah, and then he ends up building the factory with them, and I hated it. I absolutely hated that. Because I would have liked it better if, you know, he saves his town from these mafia chocolatiers, and they give him a city. They give him a key to the city, and, you know, just so happens that you can see this montage thing kind of happen. You can see this big lot of a broken down factory kind of go up for sale for really cheap, and they want Wonka to buy it specifically, and so they sell it to him and everything, and then a lot of time goes by really quickly, and it being built and everything, kind of like it was, but minus the Oompa Loompa, and minus him saving him. I don't know how they would have gotten out of that, but maybe some creative thing that no one knows or very few people know about chocolate. Like if you I don't know, maybe something was in his pockets where, just in case something like this happened, where if you mix cinnamon with chocolate, it would rotate the other way, you know, and it would mess up, I don't know, something, you know, instead of the Oompa Loompa saving them, where, you know, Wonka, you can't put Wonka in more danger than he wants to be in, because he's gonna get out of it like a proper mystery man would, you know.
Yeah, I wasn't too mad at that, especially with the Oompa Loompa being a bit of an outcast with his community.
But it begs the question, what about all the other Oompa Loompas who get involved?
Yes.
You know?
Yes. So
do you guys just bud? That's how you reproduce? You guys...
Did you know other lame Oompa Loompas and you go recruit them? I don't know.
Because now you've opened the door for the dumb questions. You know, you've taken away the mystery of what the Oompa Loompa is and where it comes from, but now you force the question, well, what about all the other Oompa Loompas? And that's not a good question to ask.
Yeah, I feel like him just getting a key to the city and everything that you just said.
It would have felt storybooky, right?
Would fit with the recent movies, or it would fit with the other movies.
And then it would have built this mystery in between the movies. What happened to the town? What happened to the town's relationship with Wonka and his flamboyantness? Because he used to want to be part of the community and spread the cheer of chocolate, and now when Wonka's older, he is a shut-in. He doesn't want anything to do with anyone. It builds that mystery. Like, that would have been really good. And I guess it still does. It does to a really high degree, really, because he's still very cheerful in this movie, no doubt. So that's undeniable.
Yeah, and with him capturing that other Oompa Loompa, maybe now he knows that they exist. and he like kidnaps them in the later movies.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. Yeah, well, so the last thing I want to talk about was the cinematography and how spectacular the whole movie looks. It's shot incredibly well. It feels a little Wes Anderson-y at some points, and I love it. And I just wish Paul King would make movies quicker.
Yeah, it's very fun.
One of my favorite sequences shot was when they were outside of the windows, and we kept getting close-ups of each window. And I guess at first it was just Wonka and Noodle, and then they each kind of entered the scene, and it was really cool. I like that one a lot. That one reminded me of Wes Anderson.
Yeah, that was pretty good. They all kind of involved themselves in a plan because they wanted to get out too. So yeah, that was good.
Who was your favorite evil chocolatier?
I mean, probably our main evil guy, Slugworth, or whatever his name is. The other two were kind of just there for a comedic relief.
Mm-hmm.
It was funny with the one that didn't like when people said poor around him. That was kind of funny, and he would gag. But it was a little too kiddish humor.
Yeah.
To find him charming. So yeah, definitely Slugworth.
I like the other one, the other minion of his with the round head. I think he had a mustache.
Mm-hmm.
And he felt kind of at odds with the guy who would gag when you said poor. I liked his whole cadence and stuff.
Yeah, I like that they had fun with him stating the obvious. 'Cause sometimes when films give a character that kind of personality of stating the obvious, they make him a little too stupid. But here I felt like they were having fun with making him look stupid by stating the obvious. So I like that.
All right, man. Thank you for watching this movie with me and talking about it here today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Do you have a budget guess for me?
Yeah, my budget guess was 100. There was a lot going on here with some pretty recognizable actors. A lot of set designs, a lot of places everywhere. For some reason, I think musicals just feel like
expensive.
Like they should be more.
That's funny. That might be true. I don't know.
So I don't know.
It's a good guess. I think it undeniably looks expensive.
Yes.
Like Barbie, Oppenheimer, any fucking Marvel movie. It feels expensive. And it was expensive. It was $125 million.
Oh, wow.
So it was a very expensive movie.
I thought I overshot it a little bit. 'Cause I was going to go maybe 75, but that felt too low. So, wow, 125.
Yeah, and it's gone on to make, it's still at theaters, but it's gone on to make so far $263 million.
Good.
So it's getting close to making money, probably.
That's good. I like that. I hope it's reviewing well. I haven't heard anything quite bad about it, really.
Yeah, I've only heard good things about it. People have a super soft spot for Paul King, so.
And it's well earned.
Totally, yeah. I like this movie a lot. I guess don't get the wrong idea. It's just one of those situations that I find myself in a lot, really. I wanted a little bit more out of it. But, it's not every movie can be whatever, The Whale, Elephant Man, I don't fucking know, right? It's just, and they're playing with fire when they're messing with Wonka. He's a character of characters. So, and everyone's kind of got their own idea of what a Wonka should be. And I like my Wonkas a little more disturbed. And I don't know what it is about this versus Paddington 2, but Paddington 2 is just so, it's probably just the Wonka hang up, really. Paddington 2 is just so awesome. Awesome movie. This movie's great, but Paddington 2 is awesome. Is this as good as Paddington 2? I know it's been a while since we watched it, but
I mean, I'm very partial to musicals, so it's a tricky question.
I get that. Totally, man. It says here in Letterboxd that the score is 3.5.
Yeah, that sounds pretty fair. This movie was definitely above average, and I think it met a lot of people's expectations.
Yeah, it's probably even a little surprising for a lot of people because of them reinventing Wonka. At a younger age with Timothée Chalamet, and it requires a person like Paul King to be able to tackle something like that. I can't imagine this just being like regular Disney fare, you know?
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Filmistines. We hope you enjoyed it. Remember, you can catch us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday over on patreon.com/Filmistines, Spotify, Pandora, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, all the goods. But until next time, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Filmistines. Thanks for tuning in and joining us on our cinematic journey. We hope you enjoyed our discussion and gained some new insights and perspectives in the world of movies. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform, especially Patreon at patreon.com/Filmistines, and follow us on social media for more film-related content. We love hearing from our listeners, so if you have any feedback, suggestions, movie recommendations, or book recommendations, please feel free to reach out to us. Until next time, keep watching, keep loving the magic of movies. This is the Filmistines, signing off.